Hey guys, this is Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist. In this case, preparing for a Cyprus-Type event. Calling it a Cyprus-Type event because it's the most recent event related to an economic crisis. And truth be told, there's lots of similarities between an economic crisis, economic collapse that have happened in the past. Generally, the mechanisms in place are very similar. Generally, when they're thinking, when those in power and running things are thinking of taking a little bit of people's savings or quite a bit of it, they do things in a similar way. There's of course degrees on how bad it could possibly get. Cyprus, we're talking about 10%. What happened in Argentina, which is what I went through, people ended up losing 60-70% of their savings in that case. But some of the things being done are similar. For example, whenever they're thinking of doing anything like this, generally people that have enough power, that are managing things, those guys get tipped off, or they know what's going on because in many cases they are doing it themselves. So those guys generally have the knowledge, and they take their money just before all this goes down. In general, they will do it just before the weekend starts, like they did recently in Cyprus. Hopefully there's a bank holiday on Monday, so as to buy even more time, they restrict people from making transfers, from moving money online as well. Soon enough there's a run on ATMs. They run out of money very fast, people trying to get out as much money as possible. There's restrictions later on how much money you can get off the bank so as to avoid bank runs. So there's quite a bit of similarities. Let's get started. So let's suppose you are, you're this guy here, you're a good prepper, survivalist, whatever you want to call yourself. You have your EDC stuff that we talk about all the time. You have your knife, flashlights, where and when legal. You have a gun with you as well. And you also have, of course, you have your home. Maybe that's a nice retreat somewhere or something like that. Chimney with smoke, beautiful place. Out there in the sticks, you have nice driveway and all, and you have your bug out vehicle ready to roll. You're ready for all the possible events and stuff. Yeah, okay. And a garage full of stuff as well. Or maybe you just live in a building apartment of some sort. Third A. yeah, you're there. You're not as well prepared as this guy, but you're doing your stuff, you're ready, right? Now, just like normal people, you have your job, your work. One day you go to the bank and it's closed. You turn on the news and yes, they're talking about a bank holiday. You start getting a little bit scared, right? You go to the bank. The bank, well, it's actually closed, and there's quite a bit of armed police officers there, so as to avoid people from trashing the place. And as you start hearing the news, you realize, yes, that there's indeed a bank holiday. You're talking about maybe doing a 20% taxation so as to save the banks, because we all know if the banks collapse, we all suddenly die, and it's horrible and such. So we have to save the banks. There's a new bailout of some sort. And you can no longer access your bank account. The bank is actually closed. Well, you soon realize that you better go to the ATM as fast as possible. The ATM, in one of them, there's a huge line of people waiting in line so as to access that ATM. But it's already out of money. There's no more cash in there anymore. You have your credit card, you think, I'm gonna be hitting the closest Walmart as fast as possible. Right. You go to Walmart and it's already packed full of people. The parking lot, it's a mess. Yes, this is actually a nicer Walmart. It has like little trees in the parking lot, but it's full of people going back and forth with shopping carts, buying lots of stuff. Now you go in, and as soon as you walk through the door, a nice lady puts up a sign that says, credit cards not accepted anymore. Oh man, yeah, well, you just lose the option of using your credit card. That's too bad. You cannot make the last minute rush purchase of stuff in Walmart. But you're a good prepper, you have all your stuff, you're a good survivalist, whatever you want to call it. What happens now, guys, is that you're basically limited to whatever amount of cash you have in either of these places. In general, people do not keep a lot of cash at home because they watch YouTube videos that tell them that cash is useless during an economic crisis or an economic collapse. Truth be told, folks, that's not the case. Cash is actually king during the few days, at least even in an economic collapse. During the first few weeks, first few days, cash is king and gets you options. So basically what you're looking at here is point number one. For any event whatsoever is having your preps, such as food, a firearm, first aid supplies and such, all the typical things that you would be needing in various events, various emergencies, right? But for specifically something like this, what you're gonna be needing is cash, right? How much cash should you have? My suggestion is at the very least 1 month worth of expenses in cash, right? Right now you may be thinking, well, but I read in this forum or whatnot that what happened in Weimar Republic, they were actually, guys were throwing shovels full of money and burning it because it was completely useless. Okay, it had a pile of paper cash that was just worthless, just for burning. What happened in Zimbabwe as well, you basically need a big pile of cash about this size, right? This amount of cash, have actually a cart so as to drag it around. This amount of cash buys you a loaf of bread and maybe a beer. That's not very nice, right? That cash. Now the thing is, guys, given that this has happened before, it is possible that it's going to be happening again. Now as things are as of right now, the idea of the dollar, even the euro, losing absolutely all its purchase power within a couple of days, it is not as realistic as some people may be inclined to think. Truth be told is that at least even during a real serious crisis, and even if it eventually turns into a complete economic collapse, you're going to be having cash being used during the first few weeks. All right, during those first few weeks, even if it gets worse, cash will be king. When ATMs run dry, when there's no more credit cards being accepted, actually having cash is leverage. It allows you actually to do some nice deals. I actually did that myself when I had cash in Argentina when everything was going down. Having cash allow you to go to a store and say, I know no one is buying anything from you. I have this amount of money, cash in hand. You actually show it to them. Can we make a deal? In general, during those times, it's actually pretty sweet to have enough cash. Now, during the first, why a month worth of expenses minimum? Because that's gonna be covering those first few days of things getting bad or not. Again, your bank account has been frozen. ATMs have run dry almost immediately. They're not accepting credit cards or debit cards anymore because of what's going on, the uncertainty. Even if Walmart or whoever wants to do it, what happens is that the people selling goods and services themselves, they don't want to get stuck with something that may be useless. They want cash at hand. Sometimes they're not even allowed to make transactions because the banks, as we said before, have gone on holidays. So it is important to have this as a way of moving around, buying food, buying diapers, buying medicine, whatever it is that you need during those first few days. Countless stories, guys, of people in Cyprus that, hey, I don't have enough money to buy food and they're not letting me get money, and I don't find an ATM with cash available. Pretty important. Now let's suppose for a second that it gets even worse than this. Let's suppose for a second that it does end up in a greater devaluation of the currency than expected. That's where precious metals, number 3, precious metals kicks in. You have those gold and silver coins specifically for something like that. That's why you don't put all of it into cash, because if it really does get worse than that, precious metals, no matter how bad it gets, no matter if it loses 100% of its value, precious metals is the way in which you're basically protecting yourself from that. I've done videos on precious metals before, folks. Check those out. There's already a few of them. Let's try hurrying up a little bit. Point number 4. As we're talking about here before, people start having more cash available. As soon as the bank accounts are no longer frozen and you're allowed to access your bank account, you start pulling as much money as possible out of the bank, because you just realize that bankers are not there to help you, rather the other way around. So people start putting more money in their homes. If you're selling goods, instead of preferring plastic money or transfers, you prefer cash. So in general, and this is something that I've learned from what happened in Argentina, what's happening in other places as well, people start looking favorably towards having cash at home. Now, that's also something that is soon realized by the guy with the little mask that is looking to break into people's homes. All right. Yeah. So what ends up happening is that as the word gets around, it's becoming obvious that people are having more cash at home. Burglaries at homes, break-ins, home invasions start becoming more common. You basically, what I'm talking about here, folks, is that you need a way of protecting that cash that is kept at home. You need a safe. Okay. My suggestion is, you know, the saying 2 is 1, 1 is none. Well, my suggestion is having 2 safes. Why is that? Probably, maybe if you have guns already, you already have a safe of some sort, maybe a bigger safe for rifles or that sort of thing. Maybe you have already one. If you don't have already a safe, still get 2 of them. The idea here is that one of those safes is going to be a little bit more visible. The second safe is one that is much better hidden and much harder to find. Talking with a friend of mine just recently about the possibility of putting a safe in the floor. Those are pretty good. Whatever it is, it has to be much better hidden than the first one. The idea is that, yes, it's going to be working almost like a decoy, that first safe. Basically comes down to these 2 possibilities. Maybe option number 1 is that you're not home, all right, and these guys have quite a bit of time to go through your house. If they find a safe, they're going to be spending time seeing how they're going to be accessing what's on the inside, or how is it that they're going to be dragging it out of there entirely. I actually know of a case in which there was a safe that was like embedded in the wall, a brick wall, right? A little safe, something like this, and they actually used an axe to chop through the brick wall all around the safe, and they stole the safe entirely. If you're in a little bit more of an isolated location, a homestead or some other isolated place, they have more time to do something like that. Maybe you're not going to be able to pull it off in a place where it's more, where neighbors closer by, but you know, there's no guarantees. What you basically have here is the option that if they find that first safe, they're going to be putting most of their effort in taking that and not bother finding a second safe, which they probably don't think you bothered with. So most of your savings, cash or cash or precious metals are going to be in this second well-concealed safe. Do you keep this first one empty? Not at all. Why not? Because of the possibility maybe they managed to break into it. You want them to find something in there. But most of your savings are going to be in the second one. All right. And then because of option number 2, which is they put a gun to your head and tell you, dude, open that safe for me. That case, they have the drop on you. You don't have any option. Maybe they have one of your kids. They maybe put a gun to your wife's head, and you have to open that safe. You want them to find something in it. Now, it's illegal to print fake money. That's illegal. It's not illegal to make maybe bonds or stock options or something like that, printing of fake companies, or making bogus paperwork so as to have something in there that looks valuable. All right, now if you see where I'm going here with this, so as to have something in there for them to take, maybe some cheapo jewelry that looks maybe expensive but it's really not. Again, this is where you keep your real valuables. This is most of a decoy, but maybe it's also a safe that you use for keeping smaller amounts of savings as well. Maybe a couple guns in there as well. Whatever it is, most of it is going to be much better concealed in your second safe. Okay, folks? Finally, and one of those things that you don't see being mentioned a lot is offshore account. Why is it that you want that? Now, I'm not talking about anything weird 007 or Jason Bourne kind of thing where you have your secret Swiss bank account and you just cut yourself and remove a laser and you have that. No, it's actually much more simple than that. I'm not talking about anything weird or anything. Having wherever it is that you live in, suppose you're US, right? Wherever it is that you live, if you have the option of moving money from one place to another, you have just that. You have options, and options are always good to have. What am I talking about here? Just having an account open, maybe a couple $100 in it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's nothing strange. It's just having the option of moving money from one place to another. Why is that? Well, you may be thinking, whoa, hey, what happened in Cyprus? They're not letting you move money to one place or another. Yes, exactly. That would be the case in which it's just too late. Unfortunately, it's too late. Sometimes you see things coming. Sometimes you realize there's something fishy going on. I actually had that happen to me when banks' accounts got frozen in Argentina. Just a couple of days before that happened, I went to the bank to make an extraction. They didn't have any money, any real amount of money available. They didn't even have $1,000 available in the bank. We thought it was very strange. That same day, we went and closed the accounts. Sometimes you just manage to see something going on, something strange, or you get tipped off because you know someone in the banking system. Maybe you have that happen. If you have that happen, you have the option of maybe moving your money out of that country system. Doesn't matter what country it is. Just having an account in some other country gives you the option. Maybe you just in case you're suspicious, you just move half of your money out of the system. Nothing happens. It was just a false alarm. You were just suspicious and nothing happened. Worst case, you just lose 20 or 30 bucks in the transaction and then you bring it back or not. But you do have that option. You don't have the option of, if you see something going on strange, you will not have the option of right away opening an account, sending the money there. It usually takes quite a bit of time to get one of these accounts open. All right, worst case scenario, you just did this, you managed to save half of what you have. Even a worst case scenario, you have to leave whatever country it is that you are in because it went down in civil war or God knows what. You already have options so as to move around. Folks, lots of these things are things that I've covered much to a greater extent in my book, The Modern Survival Manual, Surviving the Economic Collapse, available in Amazon. The link is below. Of course, these are the kind of things that I talk about among many others. Guys, losing my voice here already. Have a great day. Take care. See you in our next video.